Welcome back to Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Live. That's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube and follow me on all socials, and subscribe here to Mets Daily below. Smash that thumbs up on this video. It helps the channel so much. And comment below. Throughout the week and through the rest of the season, I will be featuring your comments. I know we've gone away from that. We're going to get back to featuring you, the viewer of Mets Daily. If you're watching this and you're like, you know what, I'm trying to listen to my car more, I got a quick 15-minute commute. Well, we are now also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So I've said that for years in my career. This was a YouTube-only show, but now we are on audio platforms. So if you're an Apple Podcast or Spotify person, please subscribe there, follow there as well. Give us a 5-star rating, write in a nice review. We're new on the platforms for this show. I've been on platforms for a dozen years, but on this show, we are new. So please write a nice review. Give us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. Get us up the rankings there, as we are the #1 show to cover the New York Mets every day. Just 10 minutes a day. You know, sitting on the toilet, watching Mets Daily. Well, the Mets were on the toilet on Sunday when they had the Sunday Scaries in Atlanta. And listen, you know, Friday and Saturday for this team was fantastic. They did so many good things. But the reality is this: the Braves suck. And you had a chance to pound their face in on Sunday, sweep them, and go into this big Philly series at Citi Field with a lot of momentum. And I don't think you lose momentum. You still won the series. But to lose Sunday is annoying. You go up against Bryce Elder, who Lindor, Soto, and Alonso have crushed in their history, and they do nothing against him. He beats them again. He did earlier in the year. He gave up 2 runs. And again, just gives up 2 runs to Vientos homer. And again, this team, when trailing in the 9th inning, they don't come back. 0-53. So I'm not going to, I've put a lot of blame on Mendoza. And I think he deserves blame. And I don't want to hear from the people, it's on the player, it's on the player. Manager gets blame. This is baseball. That's how it goes. I don't want to hear people say, Mendoza deserves no blame. These hit players have to play better. Well, that's obvious. We all know that. Sherlock Holmes doesn't need to tell you that. I mean, it's common sense. But the reality is the head coach in football gets canned when the team sucks. We see it every couple of years in the NFL. Every year in the NFL, someone gets canned during the season, after the season. It happens. We see it with managers. They get canned. It's part of the job. It comes with the job. So I don't want a revolving door of managers every 2 years, but the reality is Carlos Mendoza's had a piss-poor season as a manager. I don't really blame Sunday on him, but people have the right to be mad at him. He didn't manage a good game. David Peterson had nothing left. He had 96 pitches. The bases are loaded. Get a fresh arm in there to get that final out of the 6th. He gives up the hit, tie game. Cedric Mullins and Tyrone Taylor, if they're both in the game at the same time, Tyrone Taylor needs to be playing center field. Now, I thought Taylor had a good weekend when he played. I think he's okay as a one-time-a-week player. It was him playing every day where he was completely exposed. But, Taylor has to be in center in those late innings. Can Cedric Mullins, you can't move him to left? So I'm not guaranteeing Taylor catches that ball in the 8th inning, but I guarantee it's a better chance than Mullins did. Mullins is an average fielder, he has a terrible arm. So if you're going to have Taylor and Mullins in the game, for Taylor not to be in center it just makes no sense. So I do think that was a mistake. And listen, he probably should have pulled Gregory Soto. Soto's got to get out of it there. But again, you probably should have went to a fresh arm. Probably should have went to Diaz. Probably go to Diaz in that situation. So again, these guys got to execute. And the reality is, bases loaded, 2 outs. Pete Alonso, terrible at bat, swinging first pitch. He has looked terrible. And I told you about this guy, guys. I'm not giving him a long-term extension. I'm sorry. I know everyone loves Pete Alonso. He's Pete Alonso, home run record. He's just too inconsistent, too emotional. I don't think it's going to last long-term. You give him a 5-year deal. I'd say try and offer him another 2-year short-term deal, see if he takes it. And if he says 150 or more, I'd say sayonara. The ebbs and flows with this guy are just too much. He was terrible last season. He was great the first half this year. He's kind of tailing off a bit. And 2 big spots. And I know he's come through this year, but man, he really needed to come through on Sunday. Just terrible at bats too. Take a few pitches. Even against Iglesias in the 9th, try to work that count. Iglesias didn't have it. I would have worked the count there, and he's not doing that. And, 2 disappointing moments for him in the 7th and 9th not coming through. McNeil doesn't come through. So a frustrating loss as we take a look back at the recap from the weekend. Like we said, Sunday, Vientos 2-run homer. This guy's got 5 homers in the last week. That's a positive sign for the Mets, is Mark Vientos looks like he's getting out of it. Jeff McNeil, 3 homers and 9 RBIs in the last week. He's really cooking as well. But the main stat, Mets 0-53 when they're losing after the 8th. It's unfathomable. Saturday, McNeil homer, Vientos 2 homers, the Alonso homer, Marte homer, Starling Marte throwing a guy out of the plate. You can argue Marte should have been in the lineup Sunday. Maybe it was day game after night game, him playing the outfield for a rare time. They didn't want to risk injury. I kind of understand it because we did see Marte get hurt playing the field earlier this year. But Marte's been so hot for this team, and, he's got to be in the lineup. So I expect him to be in the lineup tonight. Clay Holmes got into the 7th inning. That was good to see. Mets starting pitchers. Peterson, it almost like Mendoza saw the light Friday and Saturday. He saw McLean throw the gem in 7 innings Friday. He saw Holmes go 6 1/3 Saturday. He's like, come on, Peterson. Let's go 3 days in a row with 6 innings straight. We haven't done it since June. I tweeted we haven't done it since 1986, and he couldn't do it. So the home run derby on Saturday, and then Friday, McLean, just remarkable. Beatty, a big day. Beatty's been hot. Taylor and Mullins, 3 hit days. But, man, Noah McLean, since he's come up, you're seeing the starting pitching in general from the Mets be much better. Phillies, Mets, starts tonight. I'll be there at Citi Field. We'll see you there. Tough matchup tonight. Sanchez has been great, the lefty. Lazardo, another lefty. And then you get old friend Taijuan Walker versus Noah McLean Wednesday. I think the Mets should aim here to try to win 2 out of 3. Listen, you're 7 back. Do the Mets have a shot to win the division? Do you believe? Let us know in the comments below. Do you have any sense of belief that the Mets can now win this division? I think they're cooked. But, hey, if they sweep at Citi Field this week, they're within 4. You got 4 more against the Phillies in September. Anything could happen, but let us know. This is going to be big. Battle of the lefties tomorrow. A tough lefty tonight. I expect Marte to definitely be in the lineup tonight against the lefty. And then you should beat up Taijuan Walker. Taijuan Walker's not good. You got McLean. So the Mets got to scratch out today or tomorrow and then beat Taijuan Walker on Wednesday. And we'll see you at the ballpark. Excited to be going up today. Going up with some Phillies fans. So I'll be getting a lot of content again at Jake Brown Live. Follow me. Follow along on the journey. A lot of cool content. I'll be with 3 Phillies fans. I'm in Philly country down here now, but we're driving up, me and my buddy, and looking forward to that. My new pickleball friend. I've been playing a lot of pickleball, lost a couple pounds, great workout. So excited for Mets, Phillies tonight, and excited for the chance that Jonah Tong could also be coming up. The Mets were, I think, hesitant at one point to get Jonah Tong up here. I think there's a reality we see Sproat and Jonah Tong. Now, the Mets tried Sproat out of the bullpen. Didn't work out very well. He gave up 7 runs in total, 5 earned over 3 2/3 for Syracuse on Sunday. It seems like that's a sign what the Mets might do. They might piggyback. Maybe they go with an opener and then Sproat. But I think you might see Sproat here in a week. Remember, the Mets 2 roster spots. A week from today, we'll get 2 roster spots. So is it Sproat and Tong? Is it Tong and Jet? Is it Tong and Acuna? We'll see what it ends up being. But I think there's a chance Sproat and Tong are here. And Sproat's been great the last couple of months, but Jonah Tong has been unhittable. 11 2/3 in AAA, 0 runs, 17 strikeouts. He had 6 innings, 0 runs, 8 strikeouts on Saturday. The guy's got a 1.43 ERA over 22 starts in the minor leagues this year. I mean, unhittable. 179 strikeouts in 113 2/3 innings. He dominated AA. He's dominating AAA so far. Stop with worrying about the clocks. You waited long enough for McLean. Get these guys up here. This year is a special circumstance with how poor the starting pitching has been, not being able to go deep. The Mets have to alter their normal approach this year because this would be a critical, massive disappointment if you miss the playoffs. You need every arm you can, and if you got Jonah Tong lighting it up there, we need to see him here. You need to see these guys. So, and I expect next week we see him, and you really need to see them even more now because you lost an arm. Now, we weren't expecting to see much more of him, but Frankie Montas. Now, you never root for an injury for a guy, but in this instance, it's not a bad thing that Frankie Montas is done. His Mets career is over. He has a significant UCL injury. He might get Tommy John surgery. So that second year, $17 million, he's going to take, I'm sure insurance is going to pay some of it. And the Frankie Montas era is over. So very unmemorable era for Frankie Montas. You were probably going to have to pay him next year anyway, but 38 2/3 innings, a 6.28 ERA. He just stunk. You knew it was a bad signing when they did it. It turned out to be an awful signing. And now Frankie Montas and Jed Lowry can open a bank robbery center, a bail bondsman store, something. I mean, they robbed the Mets. Jet Lowry, injury after injury. I don't know if it wasn't really performance. It was just the guy couldn't get in the field. Frankie Montas sucked. It was very limited, but I don't think anything was changing if he was back next year. So the Mets get a little bit of a cop-out by him missing all of next season, likely with Tommy John. So the Frankie Montas Mets era is over. And hopefully next week, Tong, Sproat, McLean, the kids here, Mets, Siri will rehab this week. He's probably 10 to 14 days away. So you're going to get some life with Siri on the base pass. You're going to get some life with potentially Sproat and Tong. You're going to get not life, but another arm that could be a piggyback option with Sproat and Tyler McGill, who's built up to 65 pitches. So, a healthy McGill with Sproat, with Tong, maybe you bring Acuna back or Jet for some speed. There is some excitement here in a tough September schedule, guys. I think there is a chance for a bright September, but remember the gauntlet that faces them ahead. 32 games left for the Mets, 16 home, 16 away. 22 of the 32 are against teams 500 or better. So it ain't going to be easy. And it starts tonight against the Phillies. We'll see you there at Jake Brown Live. 2 tickets to members only. If you're not a member, please scan that. It's $5 a month. You've spent $5 on a lot worse things than a Mets Daily Insider membership. I know I have. So scan the code, become a member, extra weekly watch party, weekly video, and you'll be entered to win field level seats to Mets versus Padres in September. We'll do that giveaway at the end of this month. So please become a member, subscribe below, smash that thumbs up, comment. We'll read your comments throughout the week, and we'll see you at Citi Field tonight. Food reviews, content, me and Phillies fans at Citi Field. I'm going to show them where the best food in baseball is. It's right here at Citi Field. Let's go, Mets. Let's get it going here, boys. And we'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Mets Daily.